So now what? Welcome to From Center Ice. My name is Courtney, and I am here to talk about the series between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Florida Panthers. This video is going to be a bit different. I'm not going to fully edit it and do jump cuts and all of that. I'm just gonna get it all out in one go, so if there's some dead air from me trying to gather my thoughts, I apologize, but if they're not going to put in a major effort, then why should I keep putting in a major effort? It's not really about that, it's more so I just don't feel like doing that for this game that we watched last night. My cat wants to talk now. If you have watched the From Center Ice Happy Hours and Cozy Cast, you'll know that when I start recording, he usually likes to come in the room and start trying to get on camera himself and talking, but I'm not sitting on the couch right now, I'm sitting on my computer chair, so he can't really jump up here and join us. But anyway, this video is a little different because of that. I'm not wearing my Leafs jersey. I mean, it's over here on this beanbag chair under a Seattle Kraken jersey, under some pictures of Blackhawks players that I still need to put in frames that came in last week, and I just haven't done that yet. I have my window open. It's the middle of the day. I'm not recording this right after the game, so it's very different. And I didn't feel like recording last night because sometimes my initial reaction post-game is perhaps entertaining if I'm really upset, or very sad because people like to see sad Leafs fans, but I didn't have words last night after Game 3. I was just sitting there completely silent with my hands over my face after Sam Reinhart scored, and it didn't make sense to sit in front of the camera and try to be somewhat entertaining, to try to put words to what I'm feeling and maybe what you're feeling as well. I didn't have any sort of entertainment in me, and I mean, that's what YouTube is for, right? I'm here to talk about the games and to put words to how I'm feeling, and it's all 100% genuine, I can guarantee you that, but if it's not entertaining, you're not going to want to watch it, and why would I do it then? So, I slept on the game, and I am recording this today because I have to get a video up for the game. That's more so just my own thing. Nobody's demanding it of me, but I did want to talk about it. And I'm trying to channel Fred VanVleet's energy today. That's why I'm wearing this shirt. It was a very fun time in 2019 when the Toronto Raptors won the NBA championship. If you're not aware, I live in Rockford, Illinois. That's why I'm a season ticket holder of the Rockford Ice Hogs. That's how I became a Blackhawks fan first. I live in Blackhawks Ice Hogs land, but Fred VanVleet is from Rockford. He's our hometown kid, so much like you guys have Maple Leaf Square up in Toronto for the games, we had Jurassic Park down here in Rockford, and we all gathered downtown. They were playing the games on big screens. It was a whole ordeal. It was a lot of fun, but also Fred was selling shirts. And so, you know, the bet on yourself kid himself, I'm trying to channel that injury because he is our hometown hero, but also he was a big part of that Raptors win. So that's why I'm wearing this shirt instead of my Leafs jersey, because I'd rather channel a winner instead of whatever the Leafs did. But as you can tell, and this is why I typically do jump cuts in my videos, because I have a lot of rambling thoughts. I haven't even talked about the game last night yet, because I'm rambling trying to avoid talking about the game. So let's just talk about the goals that were scored, and I had to write them down and make notes of what order they came in, just so I wouldn't forget all of that. So you might hear paper rustling. I apologize for that, but in the first period, we had a goal 2 minutes and 26 seconds into this game, and it was Sam Lafferty scoring a beautiful one-timer off of a feed from David Camp on a 2-on-1 break for those two. Not necessarily how we had drawn up this game starting, maybe not how anybody imagined this game was going to start, but going back to me being a Blackhawks fan first, that warmed my heart that two former Hawks contributed on the first goal of the game, and it was a beautiful shot from Lafferty. Good feelings all around. Toronto needed to win Game 3 to try to avoid going down 0-3 in this series, and they were ahead by a goal. And that's how the first period ended, with the Toronto Maple Leafs up 1-0 over the Florida Panthers, even though Florida had a 7-4 shot advantage. That's just how it goes. So then we move on to period 2, and less than a minute into the second period. Let's see, I can tell you exactly. 37 seconds into the second period, there is a puck heading toward Ilya Samsonov, and also Leafs defenders heading toward Ilya Samsonov. They run into the goalie and take him out of the game. So Sammy's injured to start the second period, and a must-win game for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I say must-win. It's not like it was a do-or-die game. Obviously, they still have another game on Wednesday because a team has to win 4. But if you're already down 2-0 in the series, and you are playing a Game 3, it's basically a must-win, or you are in a massive hole that is very hard to climb out of. So, Joseph Woll comes in, the rookie goaltender, and he played very well down the stretch for the Leafs. When he came into the game, I wasn't worried about Joseph Woll coming in. I knew he could handle it, but that's a horrible situation to put a rookie goaltender in. He played a few minutes in relief, I believe, in Game 1 of the Tampa series, that blowout game. But other than that, he hasn't seen NHL playoff time. It's a must-win game in Florida, and the Leafs have the 1-0 lead. And then Florida is on the power play. The Leafs clear the puck out of the zone. Florida's breaking it back in, or attempting to break it back into the offensive zone, and Justin Holl just goes for a journey. Instead of manning the middle of the ice and staying kind of square to the opposite net, so you're in good position to go either to the outside or the inside when they start attacking, he just glides over to the boards. Not really sure what his thought process was or what he was doing, but when that happened, Anthony Duclair sort of snuck behind him and headed toward the center of the ice. Aaron Ekblad hit him with the pass, and Jake McCabe, the other defender for the Leafs, tried to turn around to catch up to Anthony Duclair, which I don't think either of Justin Holl or Jake McCabe are catching up to Anthony Duclair. I love Jake, former Blackhawk as well. He went over to the Leafs at the deadline. We all know this. But if you have those two and you judge their skating against Anthony Duclair, even coming off of an Achilles injury, Duke's gonna win. And he did. And he had a breakaway against Joseph Woll. Having Justin Holl and Joey Woll in net is, wow, okay. Also why I do jump cuts to cut out mistakes. But you have Anthony Duclair on the breakaway. He fakes backhand, then forehand, and just tucks it around the goalie. The game is tied. You cannot fault Woll for that one. It's like 2 minutes after he came into the game. Florida's on the power play. It's a breakaway. You can't blame him for that. So the game is tied. And then it's not tied because 7 minutes and 32 seconds into the second period, another former Blackhawk scores this goal. William Nylander has the puck in the offensive zone on the right side. He passes it over to Erik Gustafsson coming down the left wing because Gus was back in this game. and he tries to pass it to David Camp, who was wide open on the back door with a yawning cage, just wide open because Bob was focused on Gus. And so he tries to pass it over to Camp, but Mark Stahl reaches out his stick and it goes off of Mark Stahl's stick into the net past Bobrovsky, so it's Erik Gustafsson's goal. The Leafs are up 2-1. This is great stuff, right? You have the lead back. You got it back after surrendering the lead, letting them tie it up on the power play when you just left your goaltender completely out to dry because defender mistakes. So then we go to 12 minutes and 28 seconds into the second period, and this was a deflection drawn up by whichever hockey god is rooting for the Florida Panthers. So Josh Mahura has the puck at the left point. He passes it over to Radko Gudas at the right point. Gudas takes the shot, and you have Carter Verhaeghe in the middle of the ice with Austin Matthews on him, kind of. You have Jake McCabe clearing the guy out of the front of the net, but this puck goes off of Verhaeghe. I'm pretty sure it goes off of his pants, and it redirects just perfectly to the stick side of Joseph Woll, which just happened to be open because he was looking at the shot coming from the right point. That puck, it had so much momentum coming off of that redirect, and it just was placed perfectly. Like I said, drawn up by whichever hockey god is rooting for the Florida Panthers, the hockey god of palm trees or something. So that was frustrating, and then the game was tied. Once again, that's how the second period ended, with it being tied 2-2, but Florida still had the shot advantage, 21-13, and that in itself is bad. I know the game was tied, but let's just move on. So the third period, no goals are scored. So they go into overtime, tied 2-2. Florida still holds the shot advantage, 28-24 this time. So the Leafs did get 11 shots on goal in the third period. Congratulations. But none of them went in. So we go to overtime, and 3 minutes and 2 seconds into the overtime period, Aaron Ekblad gets the puck up to Sam Reinhart as they are trying to break into the offensive zone. Reinhart enters the zone, but he realizes he doesn't have any help, so instead of just ringing it around the boards, where Toronto, I'd say, is likely to get it, but that's questionable in and of itself, but where he probably thought Toronto would be likely to get it, and then they lose possession, he backs up, goes back into the neutral zone, waits for some teammates to come up, and then he enters again. And as he does so, it is basically Sam Reinhart surrounded by 3 Leafs defenders, but they're just watching him and doing nothing else, just watching. And they don't touch him, they don't try to poke the puck, they don't try to body check him, they just watch him go. He rings the puck around the boards to the left wall where Anton Lundell is over there. He gets the puck because, of course, you ring it around the boards. The Leafs aren't going to get the puck. Why would they close down the boards like every team does against them, because the Leafs use board play so much? So Lundell gets the puck, he rings it back around, and by this point, Sam Reinhart has gone to the back of the net where he gets the puck because TJ Brodie doesn't. And again, not being touched by a single Leaf player on the ice, Sam Reinhart is able to pick up that puck behind the net. He wraps it around and puts it right through the 5-hole of Joseph Woll. The Florida Panthers win the game in overtime 3-2 and take the 3-0 series lead over the Toronto Maple Leafs. And that was the only shot on goal of overtime. The Panthers didn't have any other shots in overtime. The Leafs had 0 shots in overtime. And what do you even say about this team? Where is the heart? Where is the effort in a game that you have to win? To make the series 2-1, that is so much more doable than being down 3-0 and having to win 4 straight games to avoid being eliminated. And they come out in the first period. Let's see. In the first period, the Leafs had 4 shots on goal. In the second period, the Leafs had 9 shots on goal. In the third period, did I just say third period? Anyway, that was the second period. In the third period, they had 11 shots on goal. This is a team that has Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, John Tavares, William Nylander. You can throw in Michael Bunting and Calle Jarnkrok, who had a great offensive year. You have Morgan Rielly. You have Erik Gustafsson out there for this game, who provides only offense from the back end, no defense. And you get not only outshot in the game, but in 2 of 3 periods and then in overtime. Is Florida supposed to be scared of you? What kind of doubt are you instilling in the Florida Panthers that, oh, maybe we can't close out the series and win the 4th game? The Toronto Maple Leafs series trying to talk to me now. What do you want?
Okay.
No, I don't want to talk to you, Siri. I don't even remember what I was saying, but what kind of fear are you instilling in them if you can't even come out in a must-win Game 3 and not even shoot the puck? I get that the first 2 games of this series were really frustrating for the Leafs and their shooters, especially Austin Matthews, who was getting robbed left and right for a lot of scoring chances by Bobrovsky in the first 2 games. But you have to keep pushing. You can't just roll over and die. You're only down 2 games before coming into this one. That's not insurmountable. You have to push and try to make this a series by coming back. But they just... bleh. And we see this time and time again. And trying to think of what makes the Leafs different from so many great teams that we have seen. And that they don't even have to be great teams. So the Leafs are great during the regular season. We all know that. And we also all know that the playoffs are a completely different animal. So I was trying to think, like, what makes the Toronto Maple Leafs, not just this year, but every iteration of this core unit that we have here, Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, and William Nylander. You'll throw John Tavares in there for the years that he's been there. But what makes them different from teams who have won the Stanley Cup? So I went back and looked at the Cup winners since 2010 because, you know, that's when the Hawks won their first in 49 years. So the 2010 Blackhawks, they had Taves, Kane, Keith, Seabrook, Hossa, and Byfuglien, just to name a few. I only named a few players from each of these teams that I listed here. The 2011 Stanley Cup champs were the Boston Bruins. You have Bergeron, Marchand, Krejci, Milan Lucic. 2012, you have the Kings, Anze Kopitar, Drew Doughty, Dustin Brown, Jeff Carter, Justin Williams. 2013, we come back to the Blackhawks, Taves, Kane, Hossa, Sharp, Keith, Seabrook. 2014, you have the Kings again, basically the same core I just listed for the last one. 2015, you have the Blackhawks again, same core. 2016, the Penguins, you have Crosby, Malkin, Kessel, Gensel, Letang. 2017, they're missing Chris Letang, and they win the Cup. They have Crosby, Malkin, Kessel, Gensel, all these other guys. The Caps, Ovechkin, Kuznetsov, Carlson, Oshie. The Blues, O'Reilly, now a Leaf, Pietrangelo, Tarasenko, Schwartz, Shen. 2020, you have the Lightning, Hedman, Point, Kucherov, Palat. 2021, again, the Lightning, same core. 2022, the Avalanche, Cale Makar, McKinnon, Landeskog, Kadri. So thinking about those teams, when those players are on the ice, you, as an opponent, are afraid that they are going to make something happen, because every time they are out there, they feel like they can make something happen, something just materialize out of nothing. Even if they don't score a bunch of goals in a game, even for recency bias, let's just think about the Tampa Bay Lightning. And we saw them as recently as the first round in the playoffs this year. When those players are on the ice, you just feel like something can happen, because they know they have to elevate their game, and they do. Every single shift, they are out there. They are trying to drive the puck into the offensive zone. They keep possession of it so they can try to score goals and keep it away from their opponent. They bring the intensity. They skate with speed. They're not just out there twirling around, throwing pucks to nowhere. And sure, it happens time to time, certain shifts for these teams, and it happens for the Leafs too, but the difference is the Leafs, it's consistent. It's almost like that is their game plan, whereas for these teams I just listed, their game plan was to win games, no matter what it took. It seems like for the Leafs, the goal is do not lose the game. And that's how they play. They don't play to win. They're not driving the game. They are playing not to lose, which results in them turning the puck over because they feel as long as it's not in their own end, it's fine. And that's not the case, because then you find yourself trailing in games. You find yourself not winning shifts. You find yourself getting overpowered by the other team, and that just gives them momentum and confidence. And again, going back to the Lightning, we saw this in the first round. That's why they had to come back so many times in the third period and in overtime, because they were playing not to lose. And then at some point, they realized they had to win, and they were able to turn it on for some of those games, and they looked great while doing so. That is what makes this the most frustrating, because we know what this team can do, and they just refuse to do it. And that's what's so frustrating. And I don't want to take anything away from the Florida Panthers. That is not my intention at all. They have played very well in this series. You could say they were outplayed by Toronto in games 1 and 2, but they won. So who cares? They forced the Leafs to make mistakes, and then they capitalized on them. And they felt dangerous. Maybe not every shift like some of these other teams I named. Like, just think of the Avs last year. That team was flying every single game. They were trying to push the puck down to the offensive zone because they know their guys can score. And that's how the Leafs should play, because they know their guys can score. But those guys who can score aren't using their skills. They're not playing their game. They're playing not to lose. And that's the difference. And that is what is frustrating about this Leafs team. And that's why they were lucky to get out of the first round against Tampa. And sometimes you have to be lucky to be good. That's just how it goes in hockey. And you're not going to play your best every single series in the playoffs. But when you are the Toronto Maple Leafs, who have faced failure time and time and time again, and you finally get lucky in a first round series, and you get the bounces in that series to go your way, and you win that series, that should fill you with momentum and confidence to take into the second round. It shouldn't fill you with, okay, we'll just continue playing not to lose, and then we won't lose because we didn't lose in the first round this year. That's not how it goes. Each round gets harder. Each round, you have to play harder. And the Leafs just haven't gotten that memo. So now they are down 3-0 in this series, and they have to pull a miracle out of somewhere if they're going to advance to the third round. If not, it's going to be Florida against either the Hurricanes or the Devils, and we'll just have to accept that this Leafs team cannot elevate their game when it matters most. But that's going to be it for me in this video. I talked a bit longer than I thought I was going to. It's just how it goes, I guess, especially when I get on to rambling about hockey. Anyhow, if you're not subscribed to this channel yet, go ahead and do that. Give this video a like, because that would make me so very happy. Usually these videos tend to be a bit more fast-paced, but this one I just... You all understand. I know you do, as Leafs fans. Well, those of you watching that are Leafs fans, I know you understand the feeling after last night. I'm not completely down on this team. Can they come back? Yes, they can. It's not probable, but it is possible if they just play their game. But we'll see. If you want to hear more from me or from Center Ice, you can head on over to FromCenterIce.com. There's links to all the places you can find us over there, or there's links down in the description of this video to all of our social media profiles. You can follow along on there, usually over on Twitter, so you can come say hello and interact during games and whatnot. But thank you all so very much for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you. You make doing this worth it, even when the team doesn't. Get some rest, drink some water, hydrate. I will catch you all in the next video. Hopefully it's not a sad one. Bye, guys.